I am like a old school, like obviously I grew up a Democrat. I've always voted for Democrats my entire life. And the last like 4 to 5 years, I've felt like what has happened to my party? Like what is going on? And it's longer than that. I guess I've been paying more attention and been more like fully engaged into what's going on the last 4 or 5 years. So it becomes a little bit more disenfranchising. But I mean, yeah, what is going on with the quote unquote left and with the party as a whole, man? Where you got guys like you and I who are just like screaming and trying to.
Yeah. So it's been going on a long time, and this is actually chapter 4 of my book, Justice is Coming, What Happened in the Democratic Party. And so it actually started back in 78. And it was a gradual process until it became almost nearly completely corrupted, minus Bernie and his wing, right? Supreme Court legalized bribery. They said that corporations are human beings, money is speech. So they're just talking to politicians when they give them millions of dollars. Right. And then mainstream media is heart of corruption. And so they would go and be like, oh, yeah, no. When, name a lobby, Big Pharma or oil or the bankers or AIPAC gives like hundreds of millions of dollars to politicians. No, that doesn't influence them at all. They're honorable gentlemen. It's like
it's crazy how they give everybody the benefit of the doubt that they're no. Of course it doesn't. It's like if you gave that much money to anybody, you'd have an influence on them, no matter what it is. It's like.
So there's an old line about journalism that you're supposed to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Right? Means you're supposed to take on power. You're supposed to challenge power, right? But our media doesn't do that anymore. So they do the reverse. They comfort the powerful, right? So that's why I've been doing this for 23 years now. We're the oldest show in internet history.
Dude, I remember when you and Alex Jones got into it.
Yeah, real quick on that. It's fun. There's so many.
Jimmy Dore was there?
Yeah. Fun fact on that one. So that's the night of Trump's acceptance speech at the RNC in 2016. And Trump's speech was number 2 on Facebook. Number 1 was the fight Alex Jones and I got into. Okay. So we beat Trump's acceptance speech on that night. Anyways, so I've been in every brawl there is. And that's part of why mainstream media doesn't like us. They're like, oh, that guy's not genteel. Right. The son of a bitch taking hundreds of millions of dollars in bribes. That guy's a gentleman. That guy is a wonderful elitist, right? But Cenk, with his 28 million subscribers and, like longest running show on the internet, populist dude, they hate me, okay? Like, I don't know if you remember in the XFL back in the day.
He hate me.
Yeah. There you go.
I looked for that jersey on eBay recently. I couldn't find it.
Oh, no. If you find it, you got to let me buy it.
Yeah, because that's I was like, yo, this would be a sick like throwback to pull out. Like,
yeah. For me, it's they hate me.
Yeah.
Right? So the Democratic leadership hates me. Republicans hate me. Mainstream media hates me. The only people who don't hate me are real people.
Yeah. You mentioned the media, and I saw a clip this morning that enraged me a little because I saw Jake Tapper speaking about how Hunter Biden was the quasi chief of staff for his dad. And the way Jake Tapper talked about Hunter Biden in this clip was so disrespectful, and it was so obvious, all the things to anybody who like knew Hunter Biden and didn't realize that we were being fed this conspiracy theory about his laptop and all that. But he was saying all this. He was like, essentially he was saying this guy's a piece of shit. He started dating his brother's widow and got her hooked on crack. This is Jake Tapper saying all this on video this morning. And in my head, I'm like, where was all of this in 2020? Where was all this throughout Biden's entire, 4 years? It's just the most disingenuous. And now it's an opportunistic. Oh, he's got a book, and it's all horse shit.
Yeah. Like Jake Tapper's book on how did the media miss Joe Biden's decline is like OJ writing a book about finding the real killer.
It's insane.
Like, come on, who are we kidding?
The rest of the American public didn't miss it. And anybody who was honest, who had eyes, who had ears, or who listened to what you guys were saying, or a lot of the guys on the right were saying, it's like, obviously he had mental decline. This is crazy. Like,
So, Kev, I said it back in 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. So during the primaries, I said, look, this brother's way slower than he used to be. And he's got a couple of things here that are not just stutters or gaffes.
Right.
They're like problematic, right? So what was the reaction in 2020? Oh, you're just doing it for Bernie. You're a dirty political figure. Blah 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 blah. And who was the people? Who were the guys who were throwing shade at me like that? Jake Tapper was in the lead, right? So I'll tell you more about Jake Tapper in a second. Then we get to 2023. I started a petition on Young Turks. I'm like, look, I don't want to lose to Trump. This guy doesn't have a brain left, right?
Yeah.
If we run him, a candidate requires a brain, a functioning brain. We're going to lose. We're going to lose. They're like, and this is what drives me crazy about establishment Democrats and mainstream media. They're like, oh, so you're for Trump? I'm like, I don't want to lose to Trump. And this guy's obviously going to lose. They're like, oh, so you love Trump? I'm like, ah.
It's as if people's, the idea of two things being true at the same time, it's just not possible to a lot of these people.
It's not. They did such binary thinking.
Because I was not I voted for Biden the first go around. I did not vote. I sat out the last election. I voted for the Green Party because I just, in good conscience, couldn't vote for anybody who was a part of the funding of a genocide. With that being said, shout out to Jill Stein.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, it is interesting because when you say certain things and you're critical of. If in 2023 you were saying that, it's like, well, you must be MAGA. And it's like, or neither of these parties really represents the true working class. I don't know if you were able to sit with the Bernie flagrant interview at all with that.
Yeah, I did. Oh, I loved it.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And it was I feel like they had conversations that it's funny because on Blue Sky or Threads, they're tearing it down. They're like, Bernie's a sellout and all. And I'm just like, and then on Twitter, it's kind of the opposite. They're using it as like an opportunistic way to be like, see, the Democrats are, and they are. The Democrats are fucked. But it's just been funny to watch like people who are otherwise rational, sound thinking human beings not be able to have rational conversations about this one thing. And it's like, hey, two things can be true at the same time. This is how being an adult works.
100%. I've been saying that on the show nonstop. My co-host yesterday on one of our podcasts, Old School, said, God, you keep saying two things can be true at the same time all the time, because I got to get it through to people's heads. So let me connect a bunch of things we were talking about, right? So I say to folks, look, we're going to lose with this guy. His brain's leaking out of his ear. Right. Okay. Let's pick the strongest candidate against Trump.
Right.
And they're like, so you're pro-Trump. I'm like, okay, all right. You're like,
do you not hear what I?
Yeah, no, they don't. I'm like, I say to my left-wing critics, I think they got a problem with the English language. I don't know, maybe it's the schooling.